Hi, thanks for joining me recorded. I'm glad that you stopped by to take a look at tonight's topic. I do a live message every Thursday night focused on a question or topic suggestion that comes from Facebook Messenger from viewers just like you. And this page is all about living on purpose, that we be fully aware, fully engaged, fully activated in our lives, heart, soul, mind, and strength. And this is personal development that is God-centered rather than self-centered. So I use the ancient texts of the Bible for wisdom and for reference. And so if this is your first time joining Recorded, I'm glad you're here tonight to take in this topic, or whenever you're joining. It also, I do these live because it allows me to interact with those who want to join in. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to those of you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping in to say howdy and hello to me and listen to this topic tonight. I have noticed people are taking the plunge in so many areas of their lives, and I'm seeing all of these great reports about these New Year's resolutions and these goals and all of these things that are happening. And so I thought, wow, people are taking some pretty bold steps. And it got me thinking about how much courage is being cultivated in the lives of those in this community, and how it's transforming their lives and taking them next level and beyond where they ever thought that they were going to be 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. So anyway, I wanted to dive in and talk a little bit more tonight about courage specifically. I talked about this, I just approached courage a little bit in a topic maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I was talking about being stuck in your goals, which, by the way, some of them have stalled out. I noticed that tonight when I went to the gym, and I'm like, wow, it's like 6 or 7 weeks into the year, and now I get front row parking again at the gym. Isn't that amazing? And the first of the year, you can't even find a place to park, and now it's like front row. So for those, and it was just another area where I'm going, wow, there's so many people who got stalled out with this I want to get healthy and go to the gym craze and sign up for this monthly fee that's coming out of their bank account, and they're not using it because they're not there. And then I think about all of you who are sending me Facebook messages, which, by the way, I'm incredibly behind because I read each one of them, I respond to each one of them personally, and so it takes time. So hang in there with me if I haven't gotten around to you yet. But I just had so much joy that I was feeling every time I was reading what was going on with you guys and how great things are going for you. So I want to give a quick shout out to those of you joining joining live and joining recorded. Please go ahead and make a comment. Let me know you stopped by. But if it is your first time joining me live, before I dive in, just know I won't acknowledge you. If you make a comment, I will. But once I get rolling, it's hard for me to multitask and look at my notes, look at you, and read your comments. So I'll catch you on the backside. If you want to make a comment, though, now there's a 10-second delay. I want to just say a quick good evening, though, to all of you. And that is especially to Robbie and Pat and David, who are in the house every night. And Tracy Harden, I love you, woman. You are just a blessing, as all of these other people are in my life. But I'm just so glad that you're here. And Sunny, I love seeing I love seeing your life unfold in the last year. Grandbaby, you're doing amazing. Woody, you're not working late tonight. I'm glad you're in the house. I hear up in your neck of the woods, it is been crazy weather and snowing and ice and rain and everything else. And so knowing the work that you do, I'm glad that you're able to stop by and join in. We're talking tonight about taking courage. People are taking on new relationships. They're taking on new businesses. They're taking on new projects. They're taking care of their homes. They're taking care of their community. They're taking care of their relationships. They're taking off weight. They're taking on their illnesses. They're taking on their debt and getting that paid down. They're taking time with their kids. They're taking more time with their spouses. They're taking action, and therefore, they're taking courage. And so it caused me to think, as I'm seeing all these great, this one woman, she's lost 30 pounds, and she started just before Christmas, and she just, her will and drive and perseverance and motivation has just been incredible to watch this transformation for her. And it all started with, what do I eat for breakfast kind of thing. And she's just kind of kept with it. And I think about how this Live on Purpose community is a people who desire to live meaningful lives, to live intentionally, and to be fully activated in who they are and what they've been called to do. And if they don't know what they've been called to do, and that purpose hasn't been instilled in them from a young age, it wasn't for me. I'm just learning as I go, and I show up and do and be, and it's amazing what happens right in the moment. I'm just aware of it, right? And so as I'm moving and grooving, I'm also being aware of what's going on in the moment. So let's dive into what courage is, because it's difficult, I think, as we are young. It's easy to just try something out and act silly in front of everybody and run up and down and do something. And then as we get older, we're like, we kind of shy away from trying new things. We've got our safe space and our safe place and our safe friends, and we don't really want to get a new job because we're kind of comfy in this one. At least we are aware of the issues, and much rather to be comfortable and deal with the problems than uncomfortable in all the unknowns. So we just kind of stay stuck. And it's difficult to be courageous in the midst of adversity. So courage means being afraid and acting anyway. So courage is a habit, a muscle that you can exercise. Most of us aren't born with courage, and we shouldn't expect it to just magically acquire. For some of us, we've got to dip our toe in, and for others, we're just pushed off the side of the pool into the deep end, and we're sorting it out as we go. And depending upon the life circumstances is where we find ourselves and how we press into that courage. I want to give you an account in the ancient texts of the Bible. This comes from the Old Testament. The Bible is in 2 volumes, Old Testament, New Testament, and there are many books in each volume. In the Old Testament volume, the book of Samuel is where we're going to read from. It's First Samuel and 2 Samuel. I'm reading from 1 Samuel, and this is in chapter 17 of that book. I will put the link in the comments as soon as this goes recorded so you can read along as well. I'm not going to read the whole thing and then go back. I want to break it down as I go, because in this account are ingredients for courage. This is the account of David and Goliath. So if you already know that story, there's the thumbnail sketch of where I'm going. But Goliath was a Philistine. He was a big dude, and big. He was big. Ugly, big, huge, big warrior, big, badass, big. And he stood and he shouted to the ranks of Israel's army, and he said, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? Dude, we're warriors. What are y'all doing lining up here? Do you know who I am? I'm a Philistine. That's right. You know what we're known for? War. Killing people. What are y'all doing standing there? And are you not the servants of Saul? You guys are servants of the king of Israel. You guys aren't fighters. Dude, you're like little pesky servants, serving up all the riches and good food and everything else to this dude. And you cats are out here, you think you're going to mess with me? Did I tell you I'm a Philistine? Did you see me? Right? So he says, choose a man and have him come down to me, said Goliath. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him, woe to you. And kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us. Man, can you imagine coming up against that kind of a battle? Where you're all standing there. Maybe you got your warrior gear on, but now all of a sudden you're like, he's like twice as high and twice as wide, and he comes from a long line of warriors. Then the Philistine said, this day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other. Mano a mano, huh? On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul, the king, hello, large and in charge, and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. Yeah. Fear. Isn't it amazing what we do in the midst of fear? The first thing that David does, and he's a young man, and he was raised in a family where he was a shepherd. So he kept flocks for his family. And in his spare time, he was pretty good at playing guitar. or what the ancient version of the lyre was, right? And so he had been summoned to come and play for the king. And when the king was depressed, and this is King Saul I'm talking about that's being referred to here, he would come and play, and that would just be so soothing for Saul, and his depression would lift. This is also the person that a prophet came to and said, hey, God's called me to come to you, this family, because God has a king that he has chosen that will rule Israel after Saul. And they were like, oh, well, take my very tall, very handsome firstborn son. And he's like, no, that's not him. And he goes through all the sons. They're like, no, he's not that. Do you guys have any more sons? Because God's telling me none of them are these. And he goes, oh, yeah, we got this little dude. You know, he's out tending the sheep. He goes, bring him to me. He goes, yep, he's the one. And so this is the David we're talking about here. So David says to King Saul, David's not yet the king. David's, he's young. He said, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Don't lose heart. I love that. We're not about to throw up our hands and walk off the job just because we're up against some hard times, right? Isn't it easy to cut and run when you see this happening? And we lose heart. We get discouraged. We're terrified. It happens. And it's easy for us to just say, well, we're done. And the first thing that we don't want to do in the face of fear is to lose heart. And that's the first thing that we see in this account. Don't lose heart. Don't get discouraged. Don't get dismayed. I understand you're terrified, but don't lose heart. He says, your servant will go and fight him. What? He had willingness to go and fight. Willingness. He wasn't focused on himself being a hero. He was focused on the people and the cause that they were standing up for. So he knew what was at stake, and he was willing to take courage and go and fight the Philistine. Because remember, the Philistine said, bring me a guy. And we'll be your servants if he kills me. But he probably ain't going to kill me. And that means all y'all are going to be my servants for the Philistines, right? Because I'm representing the Philistines. Willingness. Don't lose heart. Have a willingness to take that stand for the cause that's been presented before you, or the people who have been placed before you to take that stand. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your church. Maybe it's your community. Maybe there's whatever that is, right? To take it up, that your willingness is there. And Saul replied to David, "You're not able to go out against the Philistine and fight him. You're only a young man, and he's been a warrior from his youth." Okay. Saul's looking at this guy going, "Really? Like, are you on crack? Because I don't think you realize what you're doing here. You're young. I get it. So maybe you just are ignorant. Maybe just a little naive." So at some point, Saul doesn't know if David is being courageous or being an idiot. Because you see, sometimes that's difficult from the outside in to know. If you see a soldier and he's willing to remain at his post and defend himself against the enemy, is that courageous? Or are the odds so stacked against him that it's foolish? And at the same time, if a soldier flees from his position and retreats, is he foolish or does he have wisdom? Right? So when Saul, it's and in other terms, we are playing poker. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him. But the other people don't know what's in your hand. So Saul's like, "I don't really think you know what you're doing. Do you know who this dude is? He's a Philistine. He's been a warrior since he was young. You've been taking care of sheep." So David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. And when it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it." Like, I don't really think you know what it means to be a shepherd. Because these are some of the skills that I've acquired since my youth that can transfer over into this situation. Understand the skills that you have in one area can be transferred into other areas of your life. You may be really good at this particular skill set. And you may say, "You know what? I can do that. I can use these skills over here. They transfer." You know, I may have sold cars for a living, but that doesn't mean that I can't go over here and sell furniture. I know it's a different item, but I got it. You know, I used to work for an international frozen food manufacturer, and I used to do production scheduling for them. And I went on to take on a job with another company, a construction company, scheduling their production. Now, I don't know a thing about construction materials. I don't know a thing about anything about construction. My dad was a bricklayer, and that's about all I knew. I knew how to schedule production lines in a plant, and I did that extremely well. So I knew that I could learn those skill sets that I needed in the construction trades to schedule. Now, I knew I wasn't going to be overnight, but man, I had really good skill sets. I knew I could do that job. Now, why would a company owner, a very large national construction company, agree to take me on when I have no construction experience? Because they knew the scheduling experience that I had because I was able to show them that skill set transferred. So understand your skill sets and know that they're transferable. David was doing that here with Saul and explaining that to him because Saul didn't know. Saul's been a king. He was born with a golden spoon in his mouth. He's got gold beyond gold beyond gold. I mean, he's got a lot going on. And I say that in jest. Saul had a lot of other things happening in his life. Don't get me wrong. So he says, I seized it by its hair and struck it and killed it. He has confidence. He knows his skill set. But also, don't let your age keep you from your action. Oh, but he's been a warrior since his youth, and you've been a what? And you've only been a warrior for how long? Don't let anything hold you back because of your age, whether you are seasoned and beyond, or you've not fully yet come to adulthood, or you're just now starting in your career, or now you're middle-aged, or now you have kids, or whatever the excuse is. Don't allow your age to keep you from taking action when you know that you have what it takes to take the step. David goes on to say, your servant killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine, I mean, come on. This guy, he's never even had his foreskin cut off. Come on now. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, the lion and the bear. Because, now, do you see the confidence? Now, where does the confidence come from? Let me show you. He says, because he has defied the armies of the living God. David knew who he was and whose he was. And he knew who Israel was. And he knew that they were God's people. And for us who are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, we are also under that. Jesus came for the Jews and the Gentiles, for the Jews and the non-Jews. He came for you and for me. And so we fall under that. David said, yeah, my confidence comes from in who we are, the armies of the living God. So there's faith. So with that confidence comes assurance because of faith. It's not rooted in him, me, I'm a little God. I can do all things through myself, who gives myself strength. No, he knew who he was in being a part of the community, Israel, and who he was as the Son of God. And I don't mean Son of God, Jesus, but I mean he knew who he was in God. I read on. Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. He blessed him. He blessed him. Then Saul dressed him. He blessed him and he dressed him. Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. And he fastened his sword over the tunic and tried. So David fastened his sword over the tunic and he tried walking around because he wasn't used to them. So now here is this dude, David, walking around in everything that Saul would be wearing to go off to war, to go off to a battle, to go off to fight. And he's like, yeah, I don't need all this. This is like a boxer getting into the ring with all of the gear that a football player wears. He's not as agile. He can't move around as swiftly, and he's not used to wearing it. It's bulky. Saul, in his attempt to assist in David's ability and to give him as much advantage as he could. Said, well, if the kid's going to go in there, let me suit him up, so at least he got everything going for him. But in the midst of doing that, it was hindering David because it's not what he's naturally used to. So I tell you, if you've got skill sets and somebody says, hey, here's what I do, here's what you need to have, and I always say to people, I can give you information and I can tell you my experience, but I can't give you what I've got, because what I've got is how I've learned to do it. So these messages I give on Thursday nights, this is information and I give you my experience. But you take that and filter through it for yourself. Pick up what you've got and use what you've got. I mean, so many times we look on Instagram and see what everybody else is doing to lose weight and do this and do that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't take a look at those things, but when we begin adding layers onto ourselves, instead of just saying, hey, what's going to work for me for breakfast? What's going to work for my schedule? What's going to work for my day? What's going to work for my family? What's going to work in my work setting? Then filter that out for yourself based upon how you're wired and what your skill set is. So David says, I can't go in these because I'm not used to them. You see, if you're going to go in, you got to have the skill set already. You just can't go in there with a bunch of new stuff and think you're going to go for it. So all of a sudden, you get new tennis shoes and new workout clothes, and you got a new water bottle, and you got a new sports towel. I don't care how much newness you got, and you're all suited up and ready to go, but if you can't walk out the door and get in a gym and do what you need to do, what are you doing? You can have the latest and greatest, but you know what? Just put on some sneakers and your jeans and go for a walk. If that's what you got, use what you got. Why are you even paying to go to the gym? Do you have gallon jugs that you can put water in and lift them? They're 11 pounds a piece, approximately. I mean, use what you've got. Primal fitness is about getting outside and climbing and doing things like that. I mean, push-ups, can you do those sit-ups? What can you do with what you have? And then work into other things. But don't just get all suited up to go into something new that you have no idea what's going on and aren't even prepared for. Stay in your lane. Work with what you got. So David took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in his pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine, as we know, Goliath. Preparation and bravery. The preparation and putting together the things that he knew that he needed for the skill that he had, in the experience that he had, in the knowledge that he had, and bravery. Bravery is the act of enduring or the act of facing opposition or something that's unpleasant or an unpleasant situation or an unpleasant behavior without showing fear. Without showing fear. That doesn't mean that you are without fear. But bravery is the act of going, acting, enduring without showing fear. You see, sometimes we get this, and this is our culture. We think that the opposite of courage is fear. It's not. Courage is acting in spite of fear. Bravery is showing no fear. It doesn't mean that fear is absent, but yet we live in a culture where wow, we need to be fearless. You know, our media is all about it. We put all that stuff. Oh, I'm fearless. You know what? I'm scared to friggin' death, but I'm doing it. Right? I have a friend of mine, and I just texted her this evening as I was praying and preparing for this. She has probably in the last 90 days, exhibited so much courage based upon what she believes that God has called her to do and what doors have opened with what skills that she has to embark on a new adventure. And she started an organization, and she's off and running. And I look back over these last 90 days and I have seen so much courage exhibited from her. And she has been scared, but has refused to be paralyzed by the fear. And she has moved in spite of that. And she's come up against some financial difficulties. And with courage, she has been able to find support in order to help her move her forward with the plans and goals as she moves on purpose. And I'm telling you, this woman has these ingredients that I'm talking about tonight. You know, she hasn't lost heart. She has confidence in her skills and abilities that she's used in one area of her life, and now she's using in another. She doesn't have it all together, but she has a willingness to stand up for the cause, for the purpose that she knows has been placed in her. And she's taking up whatever training that she can as she moves forward, because she knows she's going to need it down the line. And she has faith. She has so much faith that she knows that God is who he is and is doing what he's doing in her and through her, that she is moving with assurance and confidence. Even though she doesn't know how it's going to turn out, even though David doesn't know how it's going to turn out, he is walking in with everything he's got, knowing, hey, you know what? This guy, not because of me, but because of who God is, I'm going to show up and stand up, and we're going to see what happens. So I think about the preparation that she's taken. I think about her bravery and what she's enduring and what she's facing and the opposition in the midst of that, and how she is doing it with such poise and grace. But there's fear. And I will put on here for you the rest of the account, but I fast forward to let you know, just for the sake of time, that David does conquer and win this battle against the Philistine Goliath. And one of the things that I think also helped David, and he knew that he needed from the very beginning, was support. Because he said to Saul, you and all the Israelites, don't lose heart. And Saul, in the midst of showing his support, attempted to give him what he knew he could give him to try and succeed. He was trying to support him. And he said, you know, I bless you and I'm going to try and dress you, but I know that maybe that's not, I'm doing everything that I know I can. I don't want you killed. But you can find courage in the support. There's courage in numbers. And, you know, in this account, David wins. However, we have courage to do things, and oftentimes we don't win. And, you know, failure doesn't just happen. Accidents happen. Failure doesn't just happen. It's great to do experiments and learn as you go. That's great. But I mean, failure, it's the accumulation of a lot of things that you have done wrong and poor choices that you have made that have resulted in poor thinking and poor doing. And that's where you lie in the midst of the mess. And that's for the most part. Some of us, we wake up, we didn't expect to get sick. We didn't expect to have an accident. We didn't expect for the unexpected death, for the unexpected force majeure the accident that happened, the tornado that hit, the fire that came, the flood. We don't expect. So I don't see those things as failure. We prepare as much as we can, and yet sometimes we're caught completely off guard. But yet we have adaptability and flexibility in that, because we know our skill set and we do with what we've got. But when we don't, we can lean on others for support. I have another friend of mine. She's been months without a diagnosis, and she's been in and out of the hospital and in and out of supportive care and in a difficult situation. She's unable to work. She's in her early 30s, and it's devastating to see her, how she's wasting away, and yet her faith is keeping her planted, and she ebbs and flows out of that. But the support of the people who have come around her is absolutely amazing to see. And I checked in on her last week, and I think about the courage that she has, and it comes from knowing who she is as a follower of Jesus, and that, her body is a temple. It's holy and pleasing to God, but her body is a temporary place for her spirit. And so if God wants to heal her, he'll heal her. And if God doesn't heal her, she says, I'm good with that. But man, she's believing in her healing. She's believing in her healing. I don't know where you are in taking courage in how you're operating right now in your life. You know of the areas where you probably need to take up your courage. And so I challenge you that as easy as it is to lose heart and get discouraged, is to take courage, to take courage. That means it's an action. David just said this a few minutes ago, that to be strong and courageous, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? And part of that in the commission that was given in the New Testament that Jesus gave to the disciples was to go and make disciples, because that is an action you take. So you take courage. That is something that you willingly do. And can you lose courage? Yeah, it's losing heart, right? You become discouraged. You lack confidence in your abilities. You're rooted in this loss of control, or you're not in the power position. You have your own insecurities. You lack understanding of who God is in the midst of your life, and what he can do for you through his son, Christ Jesus. The opposite of courage, I submit to you, is not fear, because we move in the midst of fear. The opposite of courage is abundance. Because when we think we're okay and we have enough, we don't need to do anything. The opposite of courage is unwillingness. Because we're not willing to step up and take the next step. So I challenge you to think about these things tonight and the ingredients that come into courage, and in an area of your life where you know you need to take that next step for yourself and to take courage is have confidence in who you are, whose you are, and the abilities that you currently have, the skills that you have, the experience that you have, and the training that you have. Make a list of those things. It helps you to have an understanding, and that builds confidence for yourself. Focus not on your inabilities, but focus on the cause. Focus on the people. Maybe it's your family. Hey, I got to get another job because of my family. I got to make these moves because of my kids. Whatever it is, focus on the cause. Focus on the people. Don't focus on yourself. Confidence, your focus, your willingness to take action. You have to make a decision. Don't let the passage of time in your life be an excuse, whether you be too young, too old, too fat, too skinny, too whatever. Know who God is. If you don't know who God is, all you got to do is look back through these videos, and you can see application day after day after day, and how that works out, and you can see scripture there, and you can read for yourself. Go to the texts, the ancient texts of the Bible. It's where your faith comes from. It's where your confidence comes from. It's where your assurance comes from. And then stay in your lane. And don't go so far out in left field to start something. Start right here. And then just change a couple of degrees and keep moving forward. And a couple of degrees and move forward. And before you know it, instead of just staying here, you just a little bit, you get comfortable and you press out and you press out and you press out. And all of a sudden, man, you're moving in that new direction. And it's good. And you're taking that skills and experience and the training with you. You're set. Be prepared. Prepare well. And go and be brave. That you would endure without showing fear. Get a tribe. Get people around you to support you, to love you, to kick you in the hiney when you need it, in your little bum, and say, hey, get it together and go. To be your cheerleader, to be your guy on the sideline saying, you got it, go boy. And then venture out and do that. Because with God in you, God is also with you, right? I hope that this has been encouraging tonight, that you can go in courage and carry on with your goals. Start tonight. Why are you waiting? Don't wait. Get your shit together and go do it. You've already got it. It's there. You've got it. Take the next step. You don't have to sit down and put a game plan together. Do 1 5-minute action and move on. That's it. Go and take courage. I love you. Love God, love others, and love yourself. Live on purpose and live in courage. Good night.